UFC 316 coming up. Merab Dvalishvili, I hope I said that right, versus Sugar Sean O'Malley for the second fight, the rematch. In this video, I'm talking about who I think is going to win and what either fighter needs to do to try and win this fight to bring back the gold. Before I get into the video, quickly let me know in the comment section, who do you think is going to win? So let's start off with the challenger, Sugar Sean O'Malley. He had the title and lost it to Merab, and this is now the rematch. Sugar Sean has not fought since he fought Merab, so that's interesting. He's took a bit of time off, I'd imagine worked on his wrestling a little bit more. As we all know, the game plan is probably going to be very similar to the first fight. Now, I don't think Sean O'Malley needs to change anything up too much. It probably sounds like bad advice considering he lost, but I don't think he necessarily needs to change anything up too much for this fight. Obviously, like we've said, it's an obvious game plan. Merab is going to push the pace, he's going to try and go for that takedown. So Sugar needs to just try and be as patient as he can to try and land them clean shots to eventually get the knockout. Now, in the first fight, right towards the end, he landed a nice front kick up through the middle to hit Merab's body, which definitely hurt him. So I've heard people saying that maybe he should try and do that more as a tactic to try and slow him down, hitting the body to wear out his gas tank a bit. I don't think that's going to work with Merab. Merab is just an absolute machine. His gas tank just never seems to slow down. So to try and slow his gas tank down a bit, I don't know if that is a great strategy. But it definitely did hurt him. So I'm not saying don't attack the body. I would just like to make sure he don't just try and rely on these kicks, that front kick down the middle. If anything, I would be trying to threaten with that front kick down the middle to make Merab think that's the game plan, to feint, to come over the top, to land his lovely cross to get that knockout power. Obviously, as he's throwing that kick, Merab's going to drop his hands to block it or try and catch the kick, or it's going to leave his head exposed to land that lovely shot. Now, I just think, like I said, the game plan probably shouldn't be changed as much because he can end the fight because he's got that knockout power. I just think he needs to try and be that little bit patient and try not to pressure Merab too much. I know everyone always says to beat a wrestler, you need to pressure them to put them back so they can't shoot in for the takedown, but I do disagree a little bit. I'm not saying he shouldn't necessarily be pressuring forward, but I would like to see him back off a little bit to get Merab's confidence coming forward, because that's when Sugar does his best work to land them counter strikes to, again, hopefully land a knockout. So I wouldn't necessarily say moving back all the time. I wouldn't necessarily push him forward all the time. I'd like him to try and get the centre of the ring, or sorry, I should say cage, centre of the cage, and just try and control that centre. We know Merab's going to be moving about, he's going to be doing a lot of circling, so Sugar needs to just try to be patient. When he comes in, he can back off a little bit and circle round to the centre if he needs to. Obviously, if that's not working for him, at least if he's more in the centre, he's not going to be backed up right against the cage. So if he does back up a little bit, but he feels like he's backing up too much, hopefully he'll have time to either circle off or try and throw some offence to make Merab backpedal a bit so he can retake the centre of that ring. And I think that's why this is such an exciting fight, because I don't think either fighter necessarily needs to change their game plan too much. It's an obvious striker versus grappler. Sugar's grappling, even in that time what he's had off training, is not going to get as good as Merab's, and Merab's striking ain't going to get as good as Sugar Sean O'Malley's striking. But it's whoever can get their game plan off the most and whoever can progress in their style of fighting. So let's get to the champion, Merab Dvalishvili. Oh mate, I'm dying to try and say his name right, but I can't quite get it. But obviously you know exactly what I mean, Merab. So his game plan, like I said, don't think necessarily needs to change it up much. He needs to make sure the longer Sean O'Malley's on his back, the less chance he's got of winning this fight. So what he needs to be doing is exactly what I said. He needs to be looking for them takedowns, throwing some wild shots to get him for the takedown. Not too wild where he's going to get clipped, but enough to make Sugar bring his arms up so he can get him for that takedown. Now, one thing I do think he definitely needs to be doing, which is a little bit contradicting what I said with Sean O'Malley, his game plan, because it's kind of the opposite, the same what he needs to be doing for his game plan. So I was saying about Sugar needs to take the centre of the ring. Well, I believe Merab needs to be circling and doing lots of movement. He don't want to come stationary at any point where Sugar can let off his strikes to land that knockout. Now, Merab, everyone knows he's got that gas tank, so he's got that gas tank too. So he needs to be circling, jittery, up and down, faking the shot, moving around, circling, not giving Sean O'Malley time to land them straight kicks, if that's what he's going to do, or to set up for his lovely straight. Now, one thing I haven't spoke about is the turning back kick, Sean O'Malley's turning back kick. So, as Merab needs to be circling, he needs to be wary of that. Obviously, if he circles round to his left, he's got to walk into that back kick. If he circled round to the other side, he's got to walk into his power straight cross. So he definitely does need to be careful with the circling. So he could decide to go back and forth, but I definitely think the problem with going back and forth is, again, he's lined up for them straight punches. So I definitely think the circling's going to be more better. He needs to be out wide, lots of circling, and then cut in nice and quick to try and shoot for them takedowns. Like I said, this was a little bit of a harder video for me to think of to say, because I know I keep saying, I think the game plan's going to be pretty much the same, and I think it's going to be a similar sort of fight. And that's why my fight prediction, I'm going with Merab. I think Merab Dvalishvili is going to win the fight. Sadly, I think he's going to win it more convincingly than the first fight, because although Sugar has got his timing, obviously Merab has now got his timing, and he's got that confidence that, one, he's already beaten, and two, his last performance against Nurmagomedov was absolutely phenomenal, probably by far one of his best performances. So he's coming off that confidence as well. But it is the fight game, and it only takes one shot to completely ruin everything and put out his lights and make Sean O'Malley champion.